All right, so here is a problem out of the book, page 104, number 65 in section 3.5, working with polygons. So this particular question had multiple parts. I just picked a couple different pieces to the problem, and then I'll leave the rest for you to attempt on your own. But starting with these problems, the big thing we're going to need to realize is that they're going to give us pieces of information, and they're going to have to do with the exterior and interior measures of the angles. So we're going to need our theorems that tell us information about what we can expect from the angles of in-sided polygons. Again, in just being the number of sides. Okay, so starting with with A here, or I labeled it A, the one where they give you that the number of sides is 9, and then you're supposed to find the measure of each exterior angle and the measure of each interior angle. We can start with one of our theorems here. Since exterior angles come first, I'll come down here and I see that the sum of the exterior angles of any convex polygon, okay, is 360 degrees. Okay? So the sum of all of them is 360 degrees. Now, here's what you have to realize is, let's say we had two angles that we were dividing it up into. Okay? Well, if we had two angles that we were dividing it into, then we would do 360 divided by 2. Okay? So this is for A. Well, if we had three angles that we were working with, okay, so we have three angles, okay, or sides. Remember, a polygon has the same number of angles as it does sides. Think of a triangle or a rectangle. Okay, so if we had three angles, then we would divide by 3. Okay. And we would get, or that would be for 3 angles. Well, in this particular case, we know that we have 9 angles, or n equals 9. So if we have 9, then we're going to get 360 divided by 9. We want to take that 360 degrees that all of our exterior angles must share, and we're going to divide it into 9 equal sections. Okay? And that is an important piece because in the original problem they did tell us they were regular polygons. And regular polygons share a characteristic that all of their sides and all of their angles are congruent. So we take 360 divided by 9, and we get that each one of them is 40 degrees. Now, moving on to the second piece of the problem, where they asked what the measure of each interior angle is. Okay, well, for this one, I'm going to have to move on to Theorem 313. And in Theorem 313, they tell us that the sum of the measure of the interior angles of an in-sided polygon, okay, is n minus 2 times 180. So again, with this one, that's the information they give us. And let's go ahead and take a look at what the sum, or all of the angles, how many degrees they have to share. Okay? So we know that the sum is simply n minus 2. Well, in this case, n is equal to 9, so it's going to be 9 minus 2 times 180. Which is equal to 7 times 180. Okay. And I can't do that quite do that in my head. We get 0, carry the 5, I'm sorry, 56, carry the 5, and we get 1260. Now, 1260 represents the number of degrees that every single angle has to share. Well, if we have 9 sides that have to share the 1260, then we're going to want to divide that 1260 into 9 equal shares. Okay, we divide that into 9 equal shares, and we would get that each share needs to be 140 degrees. Okay. So the answer that would go in this sheet right here is 140 degrees. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab a second sheet of paper here. All right, so if I want to move on to the next piece here, well, for B, I have only one piece of information. Okay? And the only piece of information they give me is that the exterior, or the measures of each exterior angle, is equal to 6. Well, in this particular case, I know that the total is still 360 degrees, and I need to find both the number of sides and the measure of each interior angle. Well, I know that I can't really find the measure of each interior angle until I know the number of sides, so I'm going to start with trying to find the number of sides. Now, they tell me that when I take the 360 degrees that make up the sum of all of the exterior angles, and I divide it evenly among all of the exterior angles, that I get 6 degrees per angle. So when I divide 360 by the number of sides, that gives me 6 degrees. Okay? Well, I have that n on the bottom. Now there's a couple ways you can go about it. I always like just turning this into a proportion. Then we can use the cross product. Okay? N times 6 is 6n. 360 times 1 is 360. Divide both sides by 6, and we find that n must be 60 sides. So the number of sides is 60. Now for this piece, if you refer back to what we did for the other one, as you see we have the number of sides now, we should be able to find the measure of each interior angle. I'll leave that part to you. Now moving right along to C, well in this piece they give us the other piece of information. So we know that in C the measure of the interior angle is 165 degrees. Well, I know that the measure of each interior angle, okay, is going to, or if I take all of those measures and I add them all up, then that will equal according to 313, the sum of all the interior angles is n minus 2 times 180 degrees. Now I need to make sure that I'm relating that properly, because this is what each individual angle equals. Well, if I were to take this right here, okay, I could say, well, 165 must be equal to the sum of all of the angles. Okay, so they have to share all of this, and if I divide that into n equal sections, again the same number of sides, so if I have 10 sides, then I would find the total number of angles that the 10 sides share with this. Okay, so this is the total degrees, and then I would cut it into 10 sections, or n sections, since I don't know what it is. Now again, I think the proportion is going to be the best way to go about this. I do a cross product, and I get 165n is equal to n minus 2 times 180 degrees. I can use the distributive property and distribute the 180n, and I get 165n is equal to 180n minus 2. Okay. I can go ahead and divide. Oh, I'm sorry, not minus 2. I forgot to distribute. 180 times 2 is negative 360. I can go ahead and subtract the 180n from both sides. That way I have my n's all on one side. Those cancel, and we're left with negative 15n, move up a little bit here, is equal to negative 360. Divide both sides by negative 15, and luckily I'm getting rid of that negative because I know I can't have a negative number of sides. And I get that n is equal to 24. Okay, so the number of sides is 24. I can go back up to my chart and fill that out. Okay, and if you refer back to what we did in the first one, you'll be able to see how we can figure out the measure of each exterior angle if there are a total of 24 sides. But if you remember, all of the exterior angles are going to add up to 360, and we want to cut them into 24 equal sections, or divide them into 24 equal sections. I'll leave that to you, and good luck.